Boom, we're live. Another episode. We have, ladies and gentlemen, I thought you were going to
Here we
see
go.
Joseph Mark in living color. However, as you know, technical difficulties have arisen. We'll catch him next week, where you'll get to see this man's lovely face and not just hear his boisterous,
Oh,
deep,
please.
resonating voice.
Whatever.
But thank you for tuning in to another episode.
Welcome back, Joe.
Draxx Life.
Yeah.
And let's get a little sound off. How we all doing?
I was out for a little bit last night with the boys. I'm not that bad though. I'm not operating at. I'm not at the races at full speed, but I'm all right.
That's why we know. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you understand why Bobby A starts these episodes off with sunglasses on.
With the sunglasses.
This is not for style. This is because he's delirious. He's been out with the boys. He's been out with the union folks, chopping it up.
Yeah.
At a local watering hole.
It was a good night last night. A lot of laughs. It was a hard week at work, man. I got crushed, but I'm good. Happy to be here. Always excited. Great to have Joe back. Chris, you look amazing. look at that.
I'm in my martial arts attire.
Which the audience will find out shortly why. And
yes.
Feeling good. Anything else to report? Oh, there is, but we got to talk about that offline.
All right, that'll be for a download off camera, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna kick it to you, Joseph Mark. I'm so angry that I don't see your face right now. I'm gonna have to put up a little decal.
We're putting cheesy. You better be on camera next Friday. You better be. No, don't give me that.
But this episode was pretty much it was brought to you by Joseph Mark. So Joe, what are we talking about today?
UFC.
Explain why I'm dressed as I'm dressed so that I don't look like a fool, a ninja pirate, as they say.
I still don't understand a ninja pirate. You're gonna have to explain that to me.
It's my bandana. My bandana is not ninja-esque. It's more pirate-esque.
Oh my
but
God.
Definitely I'm wearing my gi. Gi.
That's a sick gi, man.
So we're gonna talk about UFC. I was on Reddit like maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and I saw this like clip of the first ever UFC fight. I'm thinking, what is this? Well, how did it turn from what I saw, that like 30-second clip, to this mega event, or the series of mega events that it's turned into now? It's like some random tall, lanky dude versus like some short, stocky, like kind of really fat dude, and he got kind of like slapped for like 30 seconds and then knocked out with the kick to the face. It was just
like
weird.
Wolverine versus the Blob.
Yeah, it was just weird to see. I would never expect you to pull a Wolverine movie.
Oh, come on.
I didn't know you watched the Wolverine. That was like,
bro, I watched the cartoons. But go ahead, keep going. So you were taken back to the early days of the UFC.
Yes, the first fight
when it was wild. That was insane.
And then what spurred you? Because you're not you don't like to watch combat.
Combat, no.
Athletics,
I'm not a combat
boxing. You don't watch
guy.
Kickboxing. You don't really watch MMA.
I'm more into a team sports thing. That's my go-to. But I know you guys love it, and I'm just curious to see what got you guys started into UFC.
All right.
Like, who were your gateway fighters, and what event actually like got you going into it?
Perfect. Okay, excellent. And let's start this off with Robert Avery, who is a more recent addition to the watching MMA, watching combat sports.
The combat universe. Yeah,
what brought you into it, considering that you were also like a team? You watch hockey, you watch some football. I think you don't watch baseball.
No NFL football unless it's the Giants, and I want to hate watch the Giants.
But you're like a team, traditional American sports. So what in the last 2 years got you into?
It was you. It's the man in the gi right now.
Thank you.
And our other friend, shout Marion Terenzio every single time.
An actual fighter
who actually, and this I will launch it from this. She's has a competitive fight. She's undefeated, but in the first round of that match. She broke her foot, and it's still suffering from it today. Multiple surgeries on the same foot. So these are the stakes, people. Like she broke her foot, still won the fight with a broken foot, which is insane. But it's still like the jeopardy. You see what I'm trying to say? Like it's dangerous. It's a dangerous sport.
High stakes.
How very high, extremely high. So, but
yeah,
she's
but
gonna.
So what got you? Yeah, what
Yeah,
got
so
you?
it was you and her. It was you and her, and the way you described it, I was like, this sounds cool.
What year? What year was this?
Probably like right after the lockdowns ended, so like 2022.
Okay.
2022
Oh, that's recent. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like this is like he now
Yeah.
knows he throwing out names, but this is like very much in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, I wasn't into combat sports in 2017, 18, 19. No, this is 2022, 2023. But now, as I always do, as I'm wont to do, I just did it. I know a lot. And I even started training a little bit.
Ooh.
Like that. But then that life gets in the way, because I'm in the master's gear, people.
He's getting
I'm
ready.
not really. Yeah, I'm not.
He's segueing into golf.
Yeah,
God.
exactly. That's what.
Like all
pretty
retired
much
athletes, they end up playing golf.
Exactly. I'm past my fighting days. So I can't do it. I got into it too late to try it.
I think that you might actually be wrong. You might have gotten into it during COVID, because really it was
that would make more sense.
It was the only real live sporting event that really, through the entirety of COVID, was like every weekend.
Yeah, Dana White definitely. The UFC never. Well, it stopped for a little bit, but it was the first one to relaunch after the lockdowns. Yes,
and have having a live event.
Yeah. So yeah, then I became interested in just the culture of it, and it's similar to world football, not NFL football, and where
soccer
it's
to all those
where
Americans.
where soccer, where it's global, so you get to learn about cultures from all over the world. You follow these fighters that are from everywhere. You get to meet people. When you're in the UFC community, you're meeting people from everywhere. You're learning heritage and different traditions and cultures. So it's very those two sports are very similar in the fact that everyone on the planet is interested in it.
Yeah, it's a good point, because you're right. Because like, there's not many sports where you have kind of like global appeal.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why fighting. It's like fighting. Almost every culture has some combat sport of some sort. So you're right. Like, it is kind of deeply rooted, like soccer or like world European football, right? It's like you go anywhere in the world, you can probably find a bar where soccer games are being played.
Yeah.
And like instantly find someone that's probably rooting for the same team as you are. MMA is UFC specifically, MMA in general is kind of getting to that point as well, where it's like
it already is there.
Yeah, you
it's
could
huge.
probably go to a bar where there's a UFC fight on, and like, because the fighters there might be a guy from Brazil or a girl from Brazil. There could be someone from China. There could be someone from Japan. There could be a fighter from the US. There could be a fighter from
Australia,
Russia, or like any one of the stands.
Australia, Finland, Sweden.
It's very broad.
Ghana, South America, everywhere. The Caribbean, Jamaica,
all over the world.
Everywhere.
Literally, Street Fighter has become real.
Yeah, no, you were the first.
I know.
That's what I wanted to talk about. People that are comparing, and Action Bronson actually did this on Joe Rogan. He used that exact phrase, and I was like, I've heard that before. And 2 years before that, Chris Corvo was the one who said UFC is literally real life Street Fighter, and that's not even. I'm not even trying to be funny when I say
it is.
It's what it is. So.
And I wish they leaned into it, and some of the promotions were more like that. Like, because it is like, you literally have people who live all over the world, and some of these fighters live like remote. Like there's literally one fighter that's from like, he's like a nomadic horseman. He's from like Kazakhstan. Like
Right,
there's a
exactly.
guy from Mongolia, and they're like
Yeah.
they have very humble beginnings and like literally like ride horses and stuff like that, and then they get summoned for a battle, like blood sport Van
Yeah.
Damme, like the Kumite, and it's just like
Yep.
you see them somehow get a telegram or like in the desert. It's like I must go to fight this Reti. Like it's amazing. It's very cool.
Yeah, exactly. There's a tournament, and also not just the fighting. Like the fighting is exciting in and of itself. The different styles matching up, because different parts of the world have different styles. But it's also like the community. Everyone is, you get to meet people and you get to make friends from all over the world, and everyone has this common interest and this common love for this one thing, and that's how you connect and you make relationships. It's great.
So Joe, I'll answer your question. So for me, I think I've definitely got into it earlier than that. I always liked martial arts and stuff like that. Like I did karate as a kid, and I wrestled a little bit in high school. But like we grew up in like watching like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fighting. Like it's kind of part of like our what we watched. Like how many of the characters were fought somehow, right? So it's always been like I think there was an appeal. I think I got into UFC later than like just to like for anyone who's listening, right? UFC has been around for a long time.
1993 from that clip that I saw.
And so like let's say like the late 80s to early 90s. That might have been the very earliest. And it used to be a tournament where I think it was like you might fight multiple times, right? So it was a tournament. And there was no. I'm gonna give you kind of like the history of MMA because it is kind of interesting. Like, and Bruce Lee predicted this.
Did he? I didn't know that.
And I'll explain that. So like, essentially, it was literally like Ultimate Fighting Championship, and people came from like different disciplines, and it was as close as you could get to anything goes. Like you could smack someone in the face. I think you could kick someone in the balls. Like the limits were like I think you couldn't like eye gouge someone. Like there was some limits, but like pretty much you could do whatever you want. And if you watch some of these old clips, it was like that. There was also I don't think any weight classes. It was literally Ultimate Fighting Champion. So like that's why I say the Wolverine of Blob. You could have someone who's 145 pounds fighting someone that's 300 pounds, and I think you can find clips of that. The other thing was that it was more of a tournament of disciplines. Like if you've ever watched like Bloodsport or like these are Van Damme movies or like The Quest, another Van Damme movie, they were like these hidden tournaments. And the Kumite Bloodsport is based on a true event. Like there literally is the Kumite, and it would be I think it happened every few years. It would be like an underground tournament where you would be invited, and it would be essentially people of a variety of disciplines. So like the best of their discipline, let's say. So a boxer versus like a judo practitioner versus a kung fu master. And it was literally like a tournament of masters and masters of discipline. So UFC was kind of like that. It was like, all right, let's see what the best fighting style is. What happens when a karate expert fights a boxing guy? What happens when exactly. American wrestler fights like a Japanese judo expert, right? Let's see what happens. And it was that. And it was wild, and like crazy stuff happened. You could get like smacked and jumped on, and it was very barbaric. Let's just call it that. But what happened was, and this is pre Dana White. What happens later, though, it's like the coolest thing is that through that crucible of like ridiculousness, people were pulling out like what worked and what didn't work. And that's where MMA came from, because this is like pre-MMA. This is like a guy who's an American wrestler fighting someone who is a karate guy. But what happens is that over time, it's like, okay, well, that doesn't work, so let's not even use it anymore. Oh, but that does work. And now you have what evolved out of that was MMA, like a combination of the best of a variety of combat styles. And this is what Bruce Lee said. Bruce Lee was like, eventually it's just going to become like what works and what doesn't work. And we're going to all we're like, as a martial arts, we're going to take the best of everything and we're going to mix it all up. And it's just going to become fighting. And like, no more this like, oh, I'm like a traditional kung fu guy. It's like, well, this works, but that doesn't work. So why are we doing it? And that's where you get MMA. And that's why when you watch UFC now or any of these other Bellator, it looks the same because essentially what's blossomed is just pure fighting. What works stays, what doesn't work gets thrown out. And I think that's kind of an amazing, like kind of a beautiful evolution. Like, I don't know, it's like a martial art. It's art, but it's like the art of like inflicting pain.
Yeah, exactly. That's what. Yeah, well said. So, in the beginning, it's illegal. It was illegal in the United States and most states, because it was so like ruthless and barbaric. And now,
only certain states would allow it. You couldn't put it on in most states.
Right, you couldn't have an event in most states.
Yeah,
almost there was only like two. I think some states now you can't go and have a UFC event.
I think it was like Vegas. You could do it, and maybe one other place where you could actually have a live event.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so, but like you said, it's so fascinating to me how you can have these different styles of fighting, which grew up from history. History is involved with this.
They're ancient in some cases.
Yeah, like ancient fighting styles squaring off against each other. That's also a fascinating part of it, and that's what drew me into it. Like the historical and global aspect. To answer Joe's question, I know we've been long-winded here, but to answer Joe's question is the historical and ancient aspect, plus the community part is what drew me into it, and it's just fun to watch because it's cool now. I'm going to add one more thing to it, Chris. We got soccer, we got UFC, and then we got pro wrestling. It's another one. Let me just throw that in there.
I thought that was your gateway.
Yeah, we got pro wrestling. UFC. It's the same thing. Yeah, those are the only three. Those are the only three that are worldwide, every corner of the planet.
And the one thing that's nice is that UFC is becoming more, for better or worse, a spectacle, like
entertainment project.
Yeah, so it's like you go and it's like very captivating to watch. Like they're athletes. It's not like, WWE, like they're athletes in that they are like can do amazing things that are physical in nature, but it's a play, right? There's theater, there's scripting, which actually you should say they're tremendously gifted athletic performers.
That's perfect.
Right? Exactly. Like The Rock can act and then also can like jump off ropes and do these like intricate things, which is amazing. Like that's we all watch. I think we've talked about on episodes. Like we've watched live. With you guys. I watched, or with Andrew and you, Avery. We watched a live wrestling event, and it is amazing to watch. Like these guys are flipping in the air and jumping and slamming.
And they're also on the microphone doing promos. But now UFC, like Derek Lewis, he's amazing on the mic.
And they're getting to that point where it's like it is entertaining, and they're actually like competing, and there's high stakes. Like someone is going to get a roundhouse kick to the face as hard as they can, and like that's scary. Like that's
it's
the
different.
Stakes are very, very high. To your point earlier.
Yeah.
Joe, what else?
What year did you get in though, Chris?
I think for me, it was definitely in the Dana White era when I started
2001,
watching
2002, or a little later.
Probably later than that. But like, I'm definitely like a little bit probably pre Conor McGregor. But like around that era, I think I watched it when I was younger. But like the violence, I think I didn't like it. And then I think as I got older, I kind of came back to it because I kind of see it as like for what it was. Like it's high stakes. Like this is martial arts. Martial arts are violent, but it's like it's the cerebral side of it to me that is also. It's like someone explained boxing to me this way. It was like boxing is chess, but like the way you play it is you inflict pain. So it's like I'm going to hit you in the arm as many times as I can so that your arm can't lift up and defend yourself. So it's a game. Like I have to hit you. It's violence, but like it's cerebral. Like I need to win. How do I win? Well, I need to take away all of your weapons. How do I take away your weapons? Well, I can hit you in the head, but I can also just like hit this arm till it hurts so much that you can't lift it anymore. And now you're open. So like, I think as I got older, I appreciated the fact that like these guys are not meatheads. Like it takes some degree of intelligence to like
They're not.
fight someone in the ring where they're trying to hurt you they're trying to kill you, for lack of a better word, right? Like if there was no ref, people would die. And you have to use all of your cunning and your intelligence and your athleticism, and you need all of those to prevent yourself from getting killed, and then also like inflict your will on them. So like there's something pure about that. Like there's no excuses. Like it's just two people going toe to toe, and two man enter, one man leave, essentially.
Yeah, it's extremely tactical.
Yeah.
So
So I think that's like to your question, Joe. It's like probably like early 2000s where I kind of like started to like repay attention to it.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
It's a while. It's the only sport that I kind of follow.
Yeah, true. Is that like the Couture GSP era type?
Yeah, I think I got into it maybe at the tail end of GSP's career.
Stole my next question. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Go ahead, Joe.
Who, like, for me, when I got into like the NFL, like Brett Favre was my guy. I just gravitated towards that player. He was so much fun to watch. It sounds like you might have like a St-Pierre, or maybe someone else that I don't have no clue about. But who was the guy that you gravitated to in the UFC?
Go ahead, Rob.
So for me, I'm later because he was early. He was Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell, GSP.
Holy shit!
She is like George St-Pierre. Now I'm more the fight that got me into it the most was
also taking my next question.
Yeah.
Good.
But that means we're on the same wavelength.
You know what I'm saying? We're all vibing the same frequency.
was Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira, the rematch. I didn't see the first one, the rematch. Because I think they fought, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, in a different promotion before UFC.
They fought a number of times in kickboxing.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they fought maybe 3 times in kickboxing, and then another 3 times in mixed martial arts, UFC.
Yeah, that's the one. And it was the other one was Shevchenko against was Valentina Shevchenko. I forgot who she beat, but it might have been who's in her weight class. It's like Lima. I like the weight classes are different, and Ilia Topuria is my favorite fighter.
That's your guy,
right now. So basically, I would say Shevchenko, Topuria, Israel, and Pereira. Those are the 4 guys that got me into it.
Yeah, so Joe
and Gagey, I like Gagey too, and Dustin Diamond.
Well, the thing is, you don't realize is
Dustin Diamond.
They've been around for a long time. I mean, they could have brought you in, and that's like a decade ago. Like they've been around,
right? They're all in their late 30s.
Yeah, I mean they're essentially our age or within you know shooting distance of our age. So for me, I think I did watch Chuck Liddell fight. So that's a while ago. I'm pretty sure.
That's a long time
so
ago.
I think I might have watched around that time and then kind of got out of it. I think that's where I kind of was like, I don't know, like this is pretty violent. Maybe I shouldn't watch this. And then I think I got back because it is. I mean, that's the thing. It's like unless you're like that's why a lot of people don't like it. They're like, okay, here's a guy punching another guy in the. Especially when you get in the ground and pound, it just looks like brutality, right?
There's a lot of blood. There's some matches that get real bloody.
And some of it can look a little like a bar brawl because if you can't identify technique, it just looks like one person is slaughtering another person, which, I mean, I don't want to watch that. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? I don't even want to watch that in like a film. I think I got back into it. Funny enough, though, is like I liked watching Conor McGregor. For some reason, for me, when it comes to fighting, I'm not always the underdog person. I kind of like when someone's unstoppable. Like something about that I find like very like that's why I like John Jones. Like people hate on John Jones, but I'm like it's ridiculous to be like
another good one.
Where you just are unstoppable. You just never lose. Because like that's the one thing I like about fighting, which I think is interesting, is like you have an expiration date. And like other sports, it's a little bit different, right? Like I think with football, right? Like you have an expiration date, and a lot of these guys, it's like there's so many variables that like even if someone's just doing horrible, or they're kind of like it's time for them to retire, it's just not so glaring because it's like there's a lot going on, right? A ball is thrown, and maybe it looked like it could have been thrown better, but maybe they could have caught it, right? It's just easier to hide, I think. Whereas I think with fighting, it's like at any like no one is going to outlast Father Time, like, and I do think it's kind of like I something about that I really like Conor McGregor was like there was a time where he was just destroying people, and it was almost as if like conceive, believe, achieve. Like he just was I'm unstoppable. Like no one's gonna stop me, and it was like he kept being right. Like that sheer ego and like self belief. It's kind of an interesting to see. It's like kind of amazing to see. You're like, dude, you are making reality because like you're fighting people that are good, and you're just like mopping the floor. Like he was kind of able to like make shit happen. But at the end of the day, no matter what, in fighting specifically, that ain't going to last forever. The only ones that are able to do it are the ones who bow out at just the right time so that their legacy is just like preserved indefinitely, right? GSP was kind of like that. Like GSP retired relatively young, and like he didn't stick with it where like you're naturally if you're like 40 fighting someone who's 28, like even if you know what I mean, it's just like it's fighting. Like there ain't nowhere to hide. Like they're younger than you, and they're in many cases might be have more stamina than you. Like
That's
it's
right.
just natural, right?
More energy,
more energy, right? Yeah. Like maybe more, but eventually you're gonna get someone who's like you at 28, and now you're fighting them at like 40. Like eventually you're gonna lose. Like
exactly.
And then some of these guys stick with it way too long, and it's just like you almost forget how good they were because now they're just going to always lose. So I think it's kind of like one of those things. It's a very humbling sport where like you could be just amazing. You could be like a ninja, just crippling people. But like if you stick with it too long, no matter what, you're gonna end up on the wrong side of things. And I just think to me like that's like a very humbling sport. I don't think you see that in a lot of other sports. Like you retire probably well before you can embarrass yourself. And then fighting, like there's nowhere to hide. Like you will embarrass yourself if you stick with it long. There's some people who are outliers, but more often than not, like if you don't see too many fighters that are past the age of like 40, even late 30s. It becomes like only the ones that were really good can kind of stick it out, and they start to lose. So it's like I don't know, something about that. It's like very true to like humanity. I like it for some reason.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point because like Adesanya too, you could see he was unstoppable in his late 20s, early 30s, and now I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything bad about Izzy. He'll destroy me. But
yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day,
that's another
he
thing.
goes into a ring and fights people with his fists. Like we're sitting in a chair right now, so it's like.
But that's another thing that I like what Corvo says, Joe, where it's like, let's say you're just out for a night out and you're at a bar and you're messing with the wrong person. What if that person is Izzy? And you don't know because they don't look like football players, Joe. They're not, or basketball players. They're not 6'8", 300 pounds. It could be Taporia. He's like 5'5", 150.
The fuck?
And you don't want to mess with that guy because you'll end up in the hospital.
No, he could kill you.
Yeah,
like or literally, he'd kill you.
Right. That's another cool part of it. I found, but sorry, Joe.
Go ahead.
Because I found the fight. How do you pronounce? That's Andrade from Brazil.
Jessica Andrade.
From against Shevchenko. That's the first one. I was like, she's nasty. Yeah, you're right. It was like right after the lockdown, 2021, where she did so like the strategic part that you were talking about earlier, where as soon as the fight kicks off, bell rings, she kicks her in the ribs twice, and then Shevchenko goes, she's lefty, so she goes with another left-handed kick, and then Andrade goes to try to block the body kick, because obviously she probably got her like in the organs and the liver,
Oh, yeah,
and
right
then
in the solar plexus.
and then instead of going to the body, Shevchenko went right to the chin, bang, knocked out in like 15 seconds. So
Oh,
two
yeah.
kicks. Yeah, you remember that
I think
knockout?
we were
Yeah, she just, it was ridiculous. Within 15 seconds, Andrade, who's a good fighter, is out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's clever, right? Because she
Right.
was like, "I'm gonna hit you here," and
Yeah.
then in that person's mind, they're like, "Okay, I gotta defend. I can't. That hurts. I
Exactly.
can't take too many of those." So you drop down, and then
Yeah.
that person's like, "Yep, set you
Yep.
up."
Yeah, bang.
So I mean that to me is why I think, like to your point earlier, and Joe, and then you can ask another
Yeah.
question. Is like what I like about fighting also is that it's not necessarily the most athletic person who is the best fighter. And actually now, because of money is increasing, I think in mixed martial arts, you're starting to get like athletes who maybe couldn't play in the pros. Like there's a
I
football
think that's like John Jones because his brother, it's like
Yeah.
Chandler Jones. He played for the
He did.
Patriots.
no,
He
but
was good.
there's
He was good. Yeah.
there's two athletes I think who one was actually like almost in the NFL or maybe played one season in the NFL and then he segued into mixed martial arts. And I think there's a basketball player who maybe he played one season or was almost in the pros.
That's wild.
And then opted out and is now fighting in, I think, the UFC. So what's interesting, so like with traditional sports, like your athleticism is like actually of a higher standard. Like, and I mean, you need to know the game and have the skills, but like you're not going to play in the you're not going to play in the you're not going to play professional basketball if you're not a certain height.
Mm-hmm.
More often than not, like you need to be a certain height. There are some outliers, but
Correct.
more you need to be a certain height. If you're playing football at the professional level, like you need to be certain height, certain weight. You need to be able to move. You need to have like certain natural gifts that like Mother Nature just gave you. Like doesn't matter how skilled you are, we'll add the skills, but like you also have to be skilled but have a certain athleticism. But it doesn't mean that like a natural athlete will inherently be a good fighter, because getting kicked in the face, like you need to have like a certain amount of grit to be able to be like, okay, like let's keep going. So like that's the other thing I like about fighting in general is it's like it is a mental game. Like you hear this saying, like the broadcasters will talk about it, of like there are people who, because I mean not everyone is a professional fighter, but a lot of people train martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
They or boxing or kickboxing or Muay Thai, and you'll hear this common reference of how like a lot of times the best person in the gym is not the best person in the ring, and it comes down to like they just mentally, like you have to be able to perform but in front of a lot of people. So there's also the performance aspect of it. Like you got to be good, but you also got to be good in a crowd where the stakes are really high, where there's people cheering you or booing you. So it's like that. There's like a huge mental side of it that like transcends athleticism. So like you could be the best athlete, but not know how to get punched in the face, or someone's choking you out, you just give up, right? So like sometimes you get these fighters who are not the best athlete, but they just have a certain mental toughness that just like they dominate and they just are champions. And it's like beyond athleticism. It's like the spirit of that person. So to me, I like that. It resonates with me.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's
I'm
cool.
rambling.
No, that was cool because that leads perfectly to my next point. Because Joe, it's a little bit like the scouting combine in NFL. So Chris, there's like a scouting combine where people go through and they do all these athletic tests before they get drafted to the NFL. And a lot of players that score the best in the athletic, they jump the high, they run the fast, but they end up failing as NFL players.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect.
I think we talked about this last week, because even I mean, let's not take it away from like a professional baseball player, right? If you're a pitcher, I can't imagine the stress that you're under. You're literally can like sink a game,
You can
and you got
control the
people
game.
watching you.
Yeah.
Like I would imagine the best pitcher in the world might not be in the pros. He might be able to throw the fastest fastball, but like when you give him an audience, he just like crumbles. So I mean, there's a lot. I think that does parallel.
the composure and performing when under pressure is very important. Very important.
Dude, I wrestled in high school. I was horrible. I think we talked about this last week. Like it was like embarrassing. It was embarrassing. I don't think I ever won one match. I think when I was in positions where I could have won, I crumbled. I was not good in front of people. And with wrestling, it's just two people in the middle wearing like tight clothing, which is you're in high school. You don't really want to be wearing like spandex essentially in front of all these people.
Yeah.
But now when I'm horsing around with my friends who also wrestled, I was pretty good.
Right.
When you added the stress, I crumbled. So it kind of like it's the same thing. Like not everyone can perform in front of an audience, and that separates like the wheat from the chaff and probably all athleticism.
Absolutely. And I think you made a good point earlier in your monologue where the cultural aspect of it, like how you grew up, what's inside you. You said spirit. What's inside you matters a lot. So someone like, I'm going to go back to her again, someone like Shevchenko, she's from Kyrgyzstan, and she grew up during the collapse of the Soviet Union, where crazy things were happening, is different than growing up as an American fighter, where your parents were like kind of, I'm not going to say wealthy, but they were well off.
Yeah.
And you like the tenacity and the passion that Shevchenko has is different from the American fighters, because she grew up in like where wild things were happening all around her, and which is why it also resonates with me too. I also like that.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of these guys who are from
in Brazil, like Soviet, the favela,
or either poor parts of Brazil or parts of formerly the Soviet Union who have seen wars in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Right. Some of these guys and girls are younger than I am. Right. I'm 39.
Yeah.
And they've lived through wars. Right.
Exactly.
I haven't lived through a war. And then it's like they've known times of like famine. Right. Mm-hmm. When they like this is a huge opportunity for them to change their lives around. So like it's like a dog, like a starving dog with a bone. Like you ain't gonna get that out their mouth. Like they'll die before they give that up. So I think that like that's that is a real thing. You can't fake that. You can't like make that up somehow.
Right. That's why I like the Russian, the Muslim Russian fighters like Khabib. Used to say, wait, the man's wrestling bears to train. Yeah. it's some wild. It's just, I'm not even making that up, Joe. He's training with like, I guess the bear is like kind of trained. It's not a completely bear. It's not it's not a wild bear. But yeah, you're right. He's wrestling bears, Joe. That's how he trained.
Yeah, it's very, But go ahead, Joe. What else? What other questions did you have prepared?
So it sounds like McGregor was your guy.
Yeah, I definitely was on that bandwagon in the very beginning. I
never liked McGregor
in fighting. I like ego. Like Topuria is kind of the same. Like the brashness, the ego. Yeah. I kind of like it because it's kind of like one of those things where either you're gonna get humbled, or you're like, oh well, maybe they have a right to have a big ego because every time they go fight someone, they keep on winning. So it's like something about that. Like John Jones, I like. I mean, the guy hasn't really lost a fight in like
he's ridiculous, dude.
Almost 20 years. That's insane. Like, yeah, dude, you should go look up Avery. Can you look up his record?
Yeah, I'll look it up right now.
I mean, he's our age, or maybe slightly younger, and like maybe he's between 36 and 39, and like he's never lost. He's never really lost a fight. It's kind of crazy. Like one loss on his record is because I think he used at the time he used like an illegal.
Yeah, he got disqualified. Elbow. Yeah,
and then also he popped for some steroid.
I was gonna say, isn't he on the juice?
I think a lot of these guys are probably on the juice at different times.
Most of them are.
It's just I almost like.
You're right. He's 28-1. Oh. He got DQ'd once for that illegal move.
Yeah, he used like an elbow.
But that was like 16 years ago, Joe. Yeah. He hasn't lost in 16 years.
How old is he?
I think he's like 37.
He's like our age. Yeah. 37.
Yeah. Wow. Is he 37?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, it's very interesting. Like, but yeah, go ahead, Joe.
So I was always curious, like how involved are the older fighters in like the newer events? Like is it St-Pierre actually around?
He is.
Is he like calling like games or matches, stuff like that? Or Couture, Liddell? Because those are like the three names that I know.
Yeah.
I don't really know anything else. But for me, I was always curious to see how older players, once they were gone, like a Larry Bird, Magic
Yeah.
Johnson, how they actually like stayed in touch with the game.
Well, like before we talk, like a Larry Bird, when he retired, did he coach or what did he
He
do
went
to?
away for a little bit, and then he
Okay.
came back to be a head coach for the
Oh, really?
Pacers.
He
Yeah,
he was a head coach.
for the Pacers. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
Indiana
okay. I didn't know
Pacers.
that. Okay. What did
Then
Jordan do?
Uh,
he went into management.
yeah,
Oh,
Jordan.
really?
he owned the Charlotte Hornets. He just
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
recently sold them too.
Interesting.
Jordan was a terrible owner though.
Yeah,
Was he? I know he
yeah.
sold that. He made I
Yeah.
think he almost made $1 billion or
Yeah,
half $1 billion.
respect to Michael Jordan as the businessman,
Yeah.
but the team stunk.
So Joe, to your question, I think it depends. I don't think it's the same. I mean, you do see some of these guys like Bash Rutten. Bash Rutten, you should look him up. He's hilarious. Bash Rutten fought in something called fight like a fighting champ like pre UFC. This is like in Japan. He was a fighter. This guy's he's Dutch. I think he does commentary for like a karate league. Um, you have like George St-Pierre, who I think he's maybe kind of does some commentary. Some of these guys just become like fixtures, so like they're inviting them on to maybe do some commentary. Maybe they're on a podcast.
Daniel Cormier.
Cormier, who was like a collegiate wrestler, I think
He was a heavyweight champion in UFC.
And then now he does commentary. He also coaches wrestling, so I think some of these guys end up in coaching or owning gyms, and now they're like helping to train like the next generation. So you'll see them sometimes like in the corner of a younger fighter, and you'll recognize someone. Oh, like that guy used to fight, and now he's coaching another generation. So you see that as well. I think like the Chuck Liddell generation though, like part of that is like I think Chuck Liddell made money, but they're kind of like at the precipice of when like this became like a very mainstream sport. So I think some of those guys like Rampage Jackson, that guy was in movies. He was in the A-Team movie, right? He played Mr. T's character.
That's right.
So some of them kind of went that route. I think there's that Stallone. What's the Stallone movies where
the Expendables?
one of is it Couture? Isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's in that.
Yes.
So I think some did that, and they find their ways. But I think it's kind of like you're gonna stay with it somehow. It's just a question of like how close you are to it. Like you see them in the audiences, like they'll kind of zoom in. On,
I like
that
person, they go to the events. Yeah.
I think now though you'll see it more frequently because there's more money in it. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could start a gym and or become a coach, and I would imagine some of these coaches are now starting to make. Is their athletes make more money? Like coaches make more money, right? So I think you'll see it more frequently now. Like George St-Pierre though, like that guy's like he's a star himself. Like he probably gets paid to talk and maybe teach classes
he's the man.
Be a public speaker.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
So I was talking to Amit about this, and he brought up a point of how the UFC is becoming more of a brand and not relying as much on like the personalities or the fighters. I was curious to see what you guys think. He's thinking it's becoming more like the WWE, where they rely on just the name WWE instead of the actual fighters itself.
No, I disagree with that. It's you want to go first?
No,
Chris?
no, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your
I hear what he's saying. I do hear it, but it is what I do like. I guess as a wrestling fan, I do like that they're doing backstage promos now. You got people fighting each other. Remember when what's his name, DDP Duplessis was fighting Scott Strickland in the crowd? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's getting a little wild.
It's getting like WWE where they're cutting promos
Yeah.
backstage and interviews, and then they're fighting each other in the crowd and stuff. But no, I disagree. I think it's the draw is still the individual, like the actual combat that's happening between the styles.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a mixture of both, Joe. I mean,
Yeah.
I think UFC, like, from what I understand, from what I've heard, is like their production quality, like the systems in place, like their ability to move and put on shows, like this ecosystem is like very sophisticated, and I think they say it's like very good. Like it's up there with like WWE, because like you think about WWE is always on the road, and their
Yeah.
ability to put on like high quality
Every week. Yeah.
performances is tremendous. And again, I think WWE is very good. Like like The Rock is still a draw. Like you still need stars, but if the WWE wasn't the WWE, who cares if The Rock existed, right? You need like I think it's a semiotic relationship,
Right.
where
Yeah.
you need
Yeah.
both. Because same with like the UFC. Like here's a perfect example. Like the UFC is not by any means the only MMA, but it's probably the most well known. But like you have big pay-per-view fights where you have a lot of stars, where like even someone who doesn't watch the UFC might like look and be like, "Oh, I know that name. I know who who Conor McGregor is." Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch UFC, but I know. But there's like a lot of like every weekend is not a pay-per-view, right? There's also nights where you could watch a night of fighting and not know anyone's name, right? And
Yeah.
be like, just because you want to watch MMA fights,
Yeah.
and the UFC is going to put on the best quality, right? So there's those nights where it's just the brand. Like I'm gonna go. I want to watch some fights. UFC's on. Let me go watch some UFC fights. I might know the commentators, but I don't know any of the fighters, right? But there's gonna be some good fights, and then there might be a pay-per-view night where it's like, here are stars that are on ESPN, right? Like, the Conor McGregors, the George St-Pierres, the Justin Gaethjes, which it's like their brand. Like they have a brand, and then the UFC has a brand. So I think it depends on the night, but I do think it's a combination of both. Like if you didn't have the stars, like people wouldn't
Yeah.
watch the UFC probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, the fighting. Whereas I would agree with Emmett's statement in that Dana White has a little bit of a Vince McMahon feel to him, where he recognized the financial and entertainment portion of it, and he's definitely pushing that with, as you can see, because
100%.
yeah, so that's true. But to Chris's point, I think wrestling people, this might be a wild take, but as a pro wrestling expert, I'm calling myself an expert on this. I can say that. With terms of wrestling, fans are more drawn to the character, the like the interviews, the segment, like the soap opera, the drama aspect. Whereas UFC, the best fighters are the most popular one. You see what I'm trying to say? Because in wrestling, the best in ring performers are most times not the the biggest stars.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I think it's one of those things where like if you're a good fighter, and then you also have good personality,
Then you're made in the shade.
perfect
Yeah.
storm.
Yeah.
I think there's some fighters that are more personality than fighting, but few and far between. Like if you have a good talk, a good character, but you then are horrible,
And
like
you get punched up, then
yeah,
yeah.
very quickly you kind of like people will ignore you. You got to kind of like back it up.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Whereas
yeah.
wrestling will cater more to the persona than
Yeah, if you're a shitty fighter but you're
yeah.
like a good talker, it's only going to carry you so
You ain't
far.
gonna
'Cause,
last that.
yeah, eventually people are going to be like, "Shut, like you're a poser, like stop talking."
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I like the UFC a lot, because I think like in our the day and age we live in, like it's just so easy to trash talk. And I think even in like baseball, football, basketball, I would imagine, if you watch like any of the content, like they probably trash talk a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not a little bit, a
A
lot.
lot.
They do a
Yeah,
lot.
A
Okay.
lot.
yeah.
So, but it's kind of like you can't, like, to me, trash talking in basketball is kind of dumb. It's like my team is
Boy,
competing against your team. but I don't. It's like I can't single-handedly determine if we win or lose necessarily. So it's like, let's say I play the best game of my life, but my team is horrible, and you beat me. We're trash talking. It's like, okay, I lost, so now you get to talk all the smack on me. In fighting, if I trash talk you, Avery, you trash talk me, eventually we're gonna go into a cage, and it's gonna be like, try to kill me and I'm gonna try to kill you, and there's no disguising like bravado. Oh, you're a big talker, but it's like
Yeah.
I punched you in the face and essentially could have had my way with you if I wanted to, if there was not a ref there.
If there's
There ain't no hiding. Like, I don't care what you have to say at this point. Like, if I had wanted that ass, it's mine. Like, nothing you can do to stop
That's
me.
a
in this
big
environment.
pause right there. That's a big
Yeah, big
pause.
You know what I mean? It's like, dude, some of these fighters, it's like you watch.
I know what you meant though.
I'm getting as primal as we can go.
I
Like,
know.
and essentially, there are situations where you see guys trash talking. It's just like, I mean, Khabib was the same. Like, Conor McGregor talks so much, because they're trying to build a fight. This is a business, entertainment business. They're trash talking. But and Khabib is kind of like being quiet. But at a point, he's like, all right, we're gonna go into a cage, and like, you're gonna have to back it up.
That's right.
Right? You want to play a character, that's fine. You want to say a lot of mean and hurtful things. Well, there's going to come a time where if you don't protect yourself, I'm going to take it out on you. And you do see these situations where, like, they play a character and then the cage is locked and, the ref says go and someone has their way with the other. I like that. Like, I like the purity of that. You can trash talk, but you better be prepared because someone's going to come and try to strangle you. Like,
no,
that's,
the purity of the combat. That's a great way to describe it.
So I have one last question.
Uh-huh.
Where do you see the UFC in 10 years?
Good question.
It's going to be huge, man. There's no stopping this train.
Will they be fighting robots 10 years from now?
Oh, God. Here we go.
You want to get into that? You really want to go there?
I don't know, man. I know.
We're gonna get Arnie out there with the red vision and the.
There you go, man.
Yeah, the robots versus the humans. 10 years, I think UFC is going to surpass like boxing is going to be done. Yeah. It's going to be the biggest form of combat sports, and I think it's going to be bigger than baseball. It's going to be bigger than NBA. It's going to be bigger than NHL.
You think
so?
Well,
I think it's already bigger than NHL. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, I mean,
it'll be bigger than anything except American football in the U.S.
Damn.
Yeah.
So that'd be like the second biggest sport in the world next to soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Damn. Yeah, I don't know, man. 10 years. I don't know what's going to happen in 10 years. I think I think when it comes to like, I think what it'll be interesting is that I think fighting will get even more sophisticated. Because I think fighting is getting, like, the fighters are getting better and they're getting better younger. So like the stuff that they do now, it's like, that's the thing. It's like the evolution of fighting as like an art form. I think 10 more years, because like eventually you'll be able to do like simulations and like an AI is analyzing all of it, is also like giving you examples of, okay, like, you could do this, like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's what
I think the improvements will like, we'll watch fighting 10 years from now and it'll be like, there's no way anyone of this age could have survived. Like, they're just that much better. And then again, I think that the production quality will also increase exponentially, where you can watch, like, you could throw on goggles and feel like you're cage side and hear like as if you're a cage side.
Yeah, like virtual reality. Yeah.
And again, like, it's a throwback, right? Everything's full circle. There was a time where we had gladiators in coliseums. Dana White and UFC is just essentially, reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, it's
in a modern age.
Exactly. It's timeless. It's never going to go away.
And I think there's something human about it. Like, there's something that's provocative at a human level, like watching two people fight each other. Mm-hmm. Like, look cage side, like, there's every demographic there. There's every wealth class there. There's women there, and they're not turning away. Like, you know what I mean? They're watching it just like everyone else. So it has like a huge broad appeal.
Love fighters.
Like crazy.
Oh, women love fighters. Are
Oh
you
yeah, I
kidding
think
me?
these guys. I mean,
I
that's
mean,
probably
let's.
one of the hard reasons to leave fighting because I imagine
That's a Bobby After Dark
they
conversation right
go
there.
they go home to they go to the hotel and there's
Hey.
a bevy of options available to them.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
It's like Tyson. I think I've heard stories about Tyson that literally, like in his heyday, he would just have 10 women in a locked room with him and cocaine.
What in the fuck?
Like after a fight, I think he's even said it like in podcasts. He's like, yeah, after a fight, cocaine and a bunch of women, and that would be his celebration time.
Why is it a locked room? You should.
Well, I'm saying they ain't no one
sounds
coming
bad.
into that, man. No, they're all willing participants. I'm just saying.
I'm just fucking. I'm just fucking with
they're
you.
they're doing a little gymnastics in there
Yeah, no,
for
I was
however
just,
long
I was just messing with you.
till that cocaine runs out.
One last point, and then let's go to
Yeah, we'll wrap on UFC 314.
Which is in Miami. Which you speaking of the stars are out, Corvo. Come on, David Beckham is going to be there. You know that. Come on. He was at one. He was at the last one in Miami. I remember seeing it. But anyway, I digress. Last point, Joe. What do you think? Because to your point about the trash talking, in sports now, in team sports, instead of going to celebrate with your own fans, now all the players, anytime they make a good play or they win, they always go to the opposing fans and start taunting them. So it's like instead of you want to win the game, not to celebrate with your people and be happy, but to make fun of other people. And I think that says something about society now, to your point. But in UFC, you talk trash, you're getting kicked in the head. So it's a completely different thing. So Joe, what do you think about it? You've seen it in the NFL when the players score touchdowns, they start shushing the opposing fans and stuff. Why is that? What do you think that is?
I think that depends on the teams. Like, there's certain teams that have rivalries. So if you have that rivalry, you're gonna play against the crowd,
like the villain role.
Yeah, it's to me that's fun. If it's just some random team you're seeing on like a random week, then that's not as fun to me. But if it's like a Chicago Bears versus Green Bay Packers, been at it for like 100 years, that's fun to see them go back and forth. And those two cities were probably separated by maybe less than 100 miles.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fun to see that back and forth.
So like us with Corvo's boys, the
with
Birds, go Birds,
Philadelphia,
the
Philadelphia.
filthy.
Yeah, okay. That's the one thing I like about UFC too. It's less geographic. It's not like my tribe versus your tribe. It's not like Philly versus New York. It's less that and more like person driven. I kind of like that as well.
Like Muay Thai versus wrestling.
Yeah, it's like you could like a guy. He's like, Brazilians tend to like Brazilians, but you don't have to. Like you know what I mean? That I kind of like that. It's more like I like that guy.
All right.
Yeah, that's the reason why I'm not really into it as much. I need that civic pride angle.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap
Let's go
with
to
UFC 314 since we've been talking about MMA this entire time. We do have a big fight. Big fight card actually tomorrow.
I'm looking at the card, Chris.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Which fights do you like? Ige, Woodson? What do you know about these guys?
Hit me with the top with the
main card.
Yeah, just with the main card.
All right. We got Bryce Mitchell against John Silva.
That's going to be an awesome fight.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, man. So, Bryce Mitchell, the guy talks so much stuff, man.
I know him.
You've probably seen him. Guy's from Arkansas. He's very religious, but he's kind of like, if I'm honest, sometimes he says things I'm like, you're making religious people look bad. He's also like a flat earther. He just says crazy stuff. I'm like, dude, whether he's either real or he's playing a character, it doesn't come across very well.
It's like wrestling.
Yeah. The guy he's fighting, though, Silva, is the Brazilian guy. The team he fights for is called the Fighting Nerds. They all wear like glasses with
They'll be there.
Like with the duct tape in the middle.
Yeah.
And they're all good. So this guy is amazing. Bryce Mitchell is a fantastic jiu-jitsu fighter, grappler. But this guy, the other guy, is just so good. So who knows? It should be a good fight. It should be a good fight all around. The audience is definitely going to be fired up.
Yeah.
So that's the first in the main card.
No, it's Reyes Krylov from Ukraine.
Okay,
I don't know those two guys.
We'll move on to that.
Yeah.
So who's your bet of those two?
Yeah, I know the Fighting Nerds. They look like they wear like the Dudley Boy glasses.
Yeah.
Joe,
Oh my
the
God.
one with the white that tape in the middle. Yeah, they'll be there. Guarantee you.
They'll be in his corner.
Yeah, exactly. And then we got Pitbull against Yair Rodriguez.
That'll be a good fight too. Yair Rodriguez is kind of like a ninja fighter. Like he's very much striker. You know, I like to watch fighters that move around and fight like Street Fighter, like a game, like Tekken, where they're fun to watch and they're effective. Yair is like that. Like he's very good fighter. He's like a good striker. That should be a good fight too. I think he's lost his last
Let me see.
2 fights.
Yeah, the Pitbull's the seasoned veteran. He's
I think
38.
He's like 38. Yeah,
he's 38.
So that's another one. Like Yair, I think is maybe, I don't even know if he's in his 30s.
He's
maybe
31, 32.
Okay, so younger.
Volkanovski. He lost to Volkanovski and Ortega.
Yeah. Okay.
But he's good. I've seen.
He's a good fighter.
I saw the Ortega fight. I didn't see the Volkanovski.
Yeah, I think in the Ortega fight he dislocated his shoulder. And then it was kind of like, all right, this fight's done. You can't defend yourself anymore because literally one arm is dead.
Oh, he got injured. So his nickname is El Panteras, which means panther in English. I'll translate that for you. He's the Panther. That's a cool nickname.
Yeah,
Panther.
it is.
And then we got this is my favorite fight of the night more than the main event, even though I love Volkanovski. Chandler, Patty the Patty.
Yes.
Patty.
This will be a good fight. I think this will be an awesome fight. So
Patty's favorite.
Oh yeah, I think he's favored significantly too.
Yeah.
Joe, this would be a fight worth, like, if you had the ability to watch it if you're out tonight, tomorrow.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to watch. So Chandler, that guy's crazy. He loses, but he's good. He's fun to watch. The last fight, there was a guy on his back, and literally he was on the ground. This guy's on his back. He somehow gets to his feet with the guy still on his back, and then just literally, like the opposite of a belly flop, just flops on his back to try to just knock this guy out. And then he gets back up to his feet with this guy still on his back, and then again jumps into the air to fall on his opponent. It was like watching a movie. It was intense. It was intense.
Did it work?
No, he lost.
No, he
lost. But it was just like, imagine someone who weighs the same weight as you, literally on your back like a backpack. The fact that he could get to his feet, like somehow muscle his way up to his feet, and then throw himself in the air and then do it again, it was epic. Like people were freaking out.
That was a cool moment. That was against what's his name, Charles. Charles. That was a sick fight. Yeah, it's fun. Like, I think that's going to be the most entertaining fight because both of them, but like Patty is a little nuts as well. I like Patty.
Patty is a great jiu-jitsu guy. He's on the rise. Definitely a bigger guy. Like he's big.
He's tall. He's 5'10", 150 for his weight class.
Yeah.
That's 5'10".
Now again, with the weight, guy blows up to like almost 200 pounds, I think, a lot of times. So he can get to 150, but he's not a 150-pound man, right? These guys are really like 20 pounds heavier in the actual the cage.
Yeah. So Joe, Patty is known. He's like a McGregor. Like he has a good personality. He's from Liverpool, England. And
he's a Scouser.
He's a Scouse. He's best friends. His best friend is Meatball Molly.
Yeah,
they're best friends.
Yeah,
which is cool. I like their friendship. It's cool.
So who do you think will win of that fight?
I like Patty. I'm going Patty.
Yeah, I think Patty. I kind of was.
But Chandler, this fight is going to be crazy fun.
Yeah, who knows? I hope my thing is, like, I just hope they're good fights. Like, I don't like to see anyone get blown out. I want it to be like where both people walk away like, okay, like I gave it my all. Like, there's no one can say anything bad about that performance. Now, okay, the final fight of the night, the main.
This one is good. Volk gets another title shot, and Lopez as well. This one is going to be good. Volkanovski's been a little off lately. You know what I'm saying?
He's gotten knocked out twice.
Yeah, exactly. But one was short notice, so.
Yeah. So in the last year, he got knocked.
Yeah.
Well, in the previous year, I don't know how long it's been.
Yeah,
I think it's been at
Taporia
least
knocked
4
him out.
months. Yeah, he's gotten knocked out badly twice.
Yeah, so Joe, this guy's from Australia. He's another good personality. He's fun guy. He's mad short. He's like 5'6", and he's in the same weight class as Lopez, who's like 5 inches taller than him.
Yeah,
Lopez is good too. He's
Lopez
he's in, like, if you look at the shape this man's in, he might be the most sculpted figure in UFC. He's up there.
He looks like the last of the Mohicans, man. He's got kind of like a mohawk. It's like the Australian. It's like the Australian. What's that movie?
Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile Dundee.
Oh my god!
A short version versus like Last of the Mohicans. No disrespect to anyone. It's literally like a guy from Brazil who looks like he's like a Native American versus a guy who wouldn't be surprised if at home he wore a cowboy hat and like crocodile teeth.
Right, and he's going out hunting with like a big cub, like military knife.
Yeah, and it's
he
funny.
Probably does.
This guy played rugby, so he's 5'6". He fights at like 145,
which is big.
Yeah. He used to be like 220 pounds playing rugby at 5'6". So literally like Wolverine.
Why he was
bulky Aussie rugby player, and then he now fights at 145 pounds. So just imagine like this dense guy at 5'6", stocky as hell, but like strong, fast, versus a guy he's like tall, lanky, is like a really like a jiu-jitsu guy. It should be a good battle. I'm very curious to see what happens.
And yeah, you know who Volk reminds me of? Fucking Vado. He's like he's just tiny and just like a bowling ball, man. The guy with just so much power.
Yeah, he's probably so dense, like just
it's crazy,
just throwing around people. Yeah, it's very much like that. And that's the other thing I kind of like. I think it's interesting with, I guess we can maybe close with this is like my final thoughts, and then we can pass it around. Is I do find like that's the other thing I find interesting, even with weight classes. It's just that you have so many different body types. That weight can be stretched. It can be dense. Like you could be short and the same weight. You could be tall and lanky. You could be short and stubby. You could be wide. And it's like when you go in there, you have to fight and figure out, like, how do I fight this person? How do I strangle someone who's literally has no neck? Versus how do I defend myself if I'm like 6'3" and I got all of this giant, all of this space that you can hit, right? I have to defend myself, right? I have to, maybe I use my reach to keep myself away from you. If I'm short and I'm fighting a tall guy, we're the same weight theoretically, but I gotta how do I get my 5'6" frame? How do I fight someone who's 6'3"? I gotta like cover all of this distance. So I think it's like very interesting that like there's no hiding. Like you got to figure out, like these guys have to be smart. Like how would you deal with it? Like we wouldn't know what to do if I was fighting someone that was 6'3", or they're just gonna hit me and I'm not gonna even be able to touch them, right? So these guys have to use their cunning to figure out, all right, how do I get to you? How do I trick you, right? How do I get in? And if I'm really tall, all right, how can I just stay away and just keep touching you and keep you away from me? So I think that to me is just I'm impressed whenever I watch it. I'm like, shit, this has got to be, how do you do this?
There's so many variables and so much mixed into it. That's why I got drawn into it. Well, with your help, of course. Let's say, what's your? I'm going Lopez. I'm gonna take Lopez.
That's where that's where my instinct is as well.
Yeah, but I hate it because I like Volk as a character.
Yeah, I want him to win because it just would be nice for him.
It would be fun. Yeah,
start his reign all over again, and it really wouldn't hurt Lopez too badly because he's younger. I think if Alex loses, it would be probably tough to like get back into it, right? Because it's like he's not gonna. You just lost. This would be your third loss and your third title fight. You're not gonna get another one, and you're at a certain age where it's just like you would probably be contemplating. All right, is it time to hang up the gloves? If he wins, you'll get. He might get another 3, 4, 5 fights. But I think if he loses, this might be kind of like the end, especially if he gets knocked out. I think if I was his wife, like I bet you his wife would be like, it's time.
Yeah.
Which would be tough. I would feel bad for him. Well,
yeah.
As much as you can feel bad for a guy who's probably worth a lot of money.
Oh, he's a Vulca's exponential wealth. Yeah.
Yeah, for someone who fights with his hands, like he's probably a multimillionaire.
He's all right. He's all right.
All right, so, Joe. As the outsider, what are your final thoughts? Have we convinced you to spend your Saturday
That's what I was gonna
evening
say.
watching the UFC?
No, I'm I'm not gonna go out tomorrow. But
what about in the future? Are you interested?
I'm not. I'm just not a single person like sports guy.
All right, so then let me try one more attempt to convince you. All right, that's fair. I hear it, understandable, but I'm gonna tell you this as someone who was in the same position as you, who never watched it.
Mm-hmm.
The fascination between, like Chris said it perfectly, with the different countries, the different cultures, the styles, and for me, the social aspect of it, the community, where it's the same way I was drawn to soccer. People don't talk about that enough, how it brings people together. Even though, yeah, you may think it's just people beating the shit out of each other. That's not what it is. There's technique, there's intelligence, there's strategy, and then you can have fun with people and you learn about world culture and history and traditions from all over the world just by following this one thing. That's the appeal. So you see what I'm saying?
Now I see where you're going with that.
So Joe, we'll leave it at this. You see the dog?
Yeah.
If when I come into the city, if there's a UFC fight, we'll just have to. You have to make the commitment to.
Oh my god!
We'll go out and we'll find a bar and watch the fights.
Yeah, because it's like Chris said earlier. You go to the bar, there's people from everywhere. Yeah. It doesn't matter, all classes, all walks of life.
I think we did watch a fight that maybe the three of us. I think it was a Volkanovski fight. Well, I think maybe you weren't there, Joe. I think it was you, Avery, me. I think
Vado, and Darius.
And it's cool because, like, again, like it is kind of like become bigger, but it's still a little niche. But like, you go to a bar like Volkanovski, who's fighting this week. He's Australian. Yeah. Australians are like come out to watch him fight.
Correct. Yeah.
So you're gonna go to a bar like watching a soccer match, and it's like there's gonna be Aussies there doing like Aussie, like you know what I mean. People take this stuff seriously. It's cool, like that to me. It's like very cool. Whereas if you watch football, it's like all Americans.
It's all Americans. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So you'll make friends, and especially if you're like Chris and now me, I'll toot my horn a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely.
When you know a lot about it and you can talk to them, and then you'll just start making friends with people instantly. It's cool, man.
All right, Joe, you're gonna have to. We'll set this up. You will be there. All right, folks.
God.
Another episode of the Draxx Life. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. Wait, I want to see. Like, is that date? When is 3:15?
Pause.
If 3:15. No, it's not on the date.
There'll be a UFC fight. There'll be something that night.
There is. It's a fight night. Let's see who's fighting from Las Vegas. From the there's no announced fights yet, so we don't know.
Okay, so we'll see. Joe,
there is a fight that night though.
In May.
Yeah.
I'll be in the city. We'll have to set this up.
There's a fight that night.
And if we're lucky, it'll be an earlier fight. So that's a best of both worlds. That's the one thing I don't like about the UFC is that these fights go so late. I'm like, come on, guys, start a little early.
Like 1:30 in the morning for Eastern time.
If they're in a different country, they have no other.
No, choice. Usually they, if they're in a different country, they change the time
for the
American audience.
That's correct. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So it might be in the morning where they are, but if it's a pay-per-view, they make it so that it's like pay-per-view time in the US.
Yeah. unless it's like in like the Saudi region, the
Sometimes they'll tweak it and they'll
start
play
it
it
in
for
earlier.
their time, but
Yeah.
usually it's like
He's right. Yeah, Chris
it's for
is
our
right.
time.
Yeah. All right.
Really, it's for Pacific time because it'll
Mhm.
be a little earlier for them. For us, it's like 1 a.m. and it's not even done yet. Sometimes.
That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, ladies and gents, thank you for tuning into this episode of Draxx Life. We'll catch you next week, and most likely you will see the lovely Joseph Mark.
You better.
Have a good night and a good weekend.
Later.
Peace.